take me a minute to adjust this mic. It's too tall.
Oh, let me interrupt you for just a minute. Folks, during the public input, if you could start off telling us your name and where you live. Now we got the mic adjusted, we'll give you a restart on the 3 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
My name is Jody Henderson, and I live at 7160 East Gospel Island Road. And if you didn't get that, I'll repeat it so you can write it down. You ready? I am a retired teacher with 43 years of experience. I am sure that each of you in your schooling was taught that as an elected official, elected by us, you were told and you were trained that it was your duty to guide, not dictate. Am I wrong? No, yes or no? You're not listening?
No, we don't answer the questions as we go along.
No, I could see a nod, sir. I could see your eyes flutter. I'm a teacher, remember? Right now, the discussion is about the renewal of the digital version of the Times. It's already in the budget. You have already approved the budget. So why the discussion? Your librarian has approved it for you. All you have to do is to sign it. So sign it. Now, by the way, I just want to remind you that this isn't the first time I've told young scallywags to stop talking and do your job.
Folks, we could hold the applause down, please. So we're going to take everybody's input, but we need to move through that process. Please hold your applause down.
Hi, my name is Kip Lord, and I live at 4147 North Indian River Drive in Hernando. And I'm here to tell you how unhappy I was with your decision and your comments. You are expressing your own personal political views, and you were elected to serve all of us, whether we're Republicans or Democrats. So I would hope in the future that you consider that you're serving all of us. My second point is that libraries are sacred. They're to serve everyone, regardless of politics, religion, race. And we have an excellent library here. This is as good as any library I've ever seen in the various places I've lived. So obviously it's been important to people to have this level with this size community. So Eric Head is wonderful. He does his research. He tries to serve everyone and listen to everyone. So I wish you would respect that he's bringing things to you that have been very well thought out. And I think you would agree that he's an excellent director. So basically that's what I have to say. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Nancy Tomaselli. I live at 3657 East Arbor Lakes Drive, Hernando. I didn't plan on coming here today, although I have been concerned about the current issue with the refusal to sign for a free subscription for the public using the library services. But I read the news this morning. I read the Tampa Bay News and I read the Washington Post, and I read your comments at a meeting. I hadn't been here. When I heard those comments, I felt humiliation and I felt ashamed. I was ashamed to be a part of a county that would speak this way about learning. My daughter felt so ashamed. I have grandchildren here. We'd like them to stay in the county. But she said she doesn't want them to use her address in Inverness to let colleges and jobs that they apply to know that they live in this county. That's how ashamed she was. By your comments, refusing a library subscription to a Pulitzer Prize-winning newspaper, not for financial reasons, but because of your personal political bias, you are essentially telling the community that we do not have the ability or the right to engage in independent critical thinking. You are declaring your fear that what you consider fake news will make us take an opposing stand that will not support your particular biased thinking on issues. How can we then trust you in the future to provide full disclosure on any issues that arise in the community requiring public input? How do we know that you will not hide information from the public for fear that it will engender opinions that are contrary to your personal beliefs? How will this now public information affect future growth of Citrus County economically? What family will move here to raise their children under the umbrella of an administration that practices medieval censorship? And what business will invest their money in a community that practices censorship to influence decision-making? If your final decision is to censure the New York Times, the fallout, I believe, will be erosion of the public trust in your ability to lead the county to a prosperous future. This will be a public declaration that leadership in Citrus County sanctions censorship, and with the issue making local and national news, will no doubt hinder future investment in Citrus County by families and business leaders with intellect and vision. So please consider very carefully our feelings before you make your final decision. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Yes, ma'am?
My name is Renee Rish. My address is 507 Las Palmas Point, Inverness. The purpose of the library is to give all of us access to a balanced view. I read the articles about your decision to decline digital access to the New York Times. Then I watched the actual video of how you reached your decision. It was, to say the least, appalling. If anyone in this room has not seen the video, please watch it. It will give you an additional insight into the matter. You treated the request in a demeaning manner, laughing and joking about it. Political leanings were mentioned. Access to information is the heart of the library. Censorship has no place in America. The decisions you make as a board should never be politically motivated. They should be made in a considered, dignified, rational manner and for the good of everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Kristine Crabtree. I live at 3596 East Maxwell Place in Inverness. I'm a citizen of Citrus County and a user of the library system here. As a fiscal conservative, I understand the difference between saving money on things that are unnecessary, such as a total reconstruction of a park that was perfectly fine the way that it was, and renewing a subscription for online access to the New York Times, which is a Pulitzer Prize-winning newspaper. I find some of the comments from this council's chamber absolutely irresponsible, repugnant, and possibly libelous, as well as below the values of the citizens of this county. Some of my friends here today are going to talk to you about the intrinsic values of the New York Times and how it plays a role in research for students, and how the subscriptions to online newspaper help those who are shut-ins or have mobility issues and cannot get to the library. I'm going to address this from a different angle. First of all, Mr. Conahan.
Mr. Chair? So, hold on just a minute. I would ask that you you direct your comments towards the chair, please.
Okay. Mr. Chair, there is no basis for the claim that was made, as you sat at this bench, that was made against the New York Times. You were parroting a position of Donald Trump, who, like yourself, does not even read the newspaper. You heard about the stories in the newspaper and decided that they were fake news because they were opposite of your view. This is unacceptable. This highly respected publication does not make it fake news just because you disagree with it. The rest of the council giggled and laughed and encouraged you to continue this ignorant behavior. This is also not acceptable. In a speech on May 1st, 1939, Adolf Hitler said, "The liberty of the individual ends when it starts to harm the interest of the collective." Your personal view or feelings about any newspaper, magazine, or book are not acceptable reasons to cancel a subscription to a newspaper or magazine or ban books for an entire county. You have stepped onto a slippery slope that eventually led to Nazism and fascism in the past. This ideology is unacceptable. It is not the council's job to aid in censorship, nor is it the council's right to decide the validity of material offered by our public library. This is not your personal subscription. This is a subscription that is paid for by taxpayers of this county, all taxpayers, including me, and also by private donations like people from me.
Very good. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Alisa Malcom. I live at 20 New York Boulevard in Beverly Hills. I submit to the Commissioners the title page and page 9 of FCAT reading sample questions, which reference work published in the New York Times Magazine. The FCAT uses the Times, which has won 127 Pulitzer Prizes since 1918, almost double the nearest competitor. It therefore makes sense that the cost of a digital subscription was in the Citrus County Library's budget, with not 1 cent taken from the general fund. And it makes no sense to me that the Board of County Commissioners, who had only to provide a signature because Director Head is not allowed to sign a contract, refused to do so because, as Commissioner Carnahan put it, quote, "I don't want the New York Times in this county. I don't like them. It's fake news," unquote, and then proclaimed his support for Trump. Let the record therefore show that the Commissioners acted not in a fiscal manner, but in a purely partisan manner by refusing a signature, the only action required of them. Commissioners Kennard, Coleman, Kitchen, and Smith said they don't read the paper on which they passed judgment. Commissioner Carnahan simply did not respond to the Chronicle's question. I submit a copy of this past Sunday's New York Times so that the Commissioners might become better informed. Only 2 library branches carry a daily copy of the Times and 2 receive just the Sunday edition. Microfiche is limited, whereas a digital subscription affords access to the Times' complete archive with better search capabilities. I again remind the Commissioners that the FCAT uses this paper and the library is responding to requests for greater electronic access to materials from patrons who used that access more than 90,000 times this year alone. Commissioner Smith said, quote, "You can go to the library and have internet access to all kinds of media," unquote. Commissioner, I am a cancer survivor. 5 years ago, chemo compromised my immune system and kept me at home. I am also caregiver to an MS patient. I also work. How many shut-ins are there in Citrus County? How many people cannot drive to libraries or have schedules that don't fit the once every 2+ hour Orange Line? How many stay at home due to illness or treatment, caregiving, and other constraints? How many can't get to the library due to work hours? It's no wonder that library patrons want more electronic access that would let us use an institution that our tax dollars already support. If you value education, you will not deprive this county's children of access to resources and tools that can help them succeed. If you value your constituents, you will let the library better serve its patrons and provide a signature. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Very good. Thank you for your comments. Folks, please respect proper decorum here today. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and Chairman Kennard. I'm Donna Monroe, and I'm a resident of Citrus County. My address is 7160 East Gospel Island Road in Inverness. I sound like Darth Vader. I wish to discuss your rationale for not approving the digital version of the New York Times based upon budget considerations. First off, I would like to say I'm deeply disappointed. I'm a 25-year Navy veteran retiree. I have served 31 years in the federal government. And you know the Hatch Act, you need to just button it. You don't discuss politics when you're serving the community in an elected office. Now, I'd like to talk about the costs. I got my county tax, and I pay a little over $3,000 in my tax. Of that, $63.99 is for the library. That's 2 cents a dollar. I think that's money well spent. County, your approved county budget, it's over $105.5 million. The library's income is like $3.2 million, a little over. That's 3 cents of the budgeted dollar. That's money well spent. So to recap, each 3 cents for all the libraries' budget is money well spent. So let's talk about the library. The library's total income of $3.6 million includes ad valorem taxes, but also other sources of income. There's state aid, $70,000, contributions and donations of $15,000, and donations from friends of the library for $35,000. That's a total of $120,000 just in free money. We do not expect people to donate just to support the New York Times digital subscription. And there are a lot of people out there that said, let's just donate for it. No. The 3-year subscription, a total for the 3 years, a little over $8,000. It's 22/100ths of 1% of the budget. So don't tell me that it's a budget item. That is money well spent. And by the way, that the $443,000 plus that's carried forward in the budget of the library is a testament to Mr. Head's budgetary acumen. Now let's talk about your budget. In contrast, your total expenses for your budget for the commissioners is $623,674.
You can wrap up your comments just pretty quickly, though, right?
And I would like to look at your budget item 54,400 that has to do with dues, books, subscriptions, memberships, and publications of $5,970 for 5 people, including an assistant. That maybe we should see what your subscriptions are. And thank you very much for giving me the time to present this, but it's just sign the request that you've already okayed.
Very good. Thank you.
I'm Marian Hanson, 6681 East Shadow Lane, Inverness, Florida. I am a citizen of Citrus County. My husband Gordon and I use the library online. We saw the video of your last meeting. It was depressing and sad to see male white privilege use their office to serve themselves instead of the citizens of Citrus County. The office you hold is to be used to serve the public, not yourselves. It was very upsetting to hear your support of Trump. So let's review Trump's history so far as president. He has freely admitted to raping women. He's made fun of disabled people, women, and people of color. He's also disparaged our war heroes like John McCain and others. He's destroying our national parks. He has said that Nazis are fine people. He has ignored the dangers of climate change and is sending our economy into another recession. And that's who you support. I have to say I'm worried. The solution is simple. We can vote you out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Ryan Gill. I live in Pine Ridge. There's a reason why economic students, when they're going to college, read Das Kapital by Karl Marx. There's a reason why I can go to the library and pick up a copy of Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf. I can pick up a copy of the Communist Manifesto. These are all extremely important documents. Why are they important? Because history repeats itself. It repeats itself constantly. We have to learn from our mistakes. And when you start banning something based on your political bias, you completely ignore the past issues in history. And when you do that, they repeat themselves. There's a reason why the library is stocked full of things that nobody should really see. There's a reason why there's a Holocaust museum down in Tampa. Those are extremely important things. And $2,000, $3,000 for a digital subscription, that's nothing. The reason why a digital subscription is probably better than the print is because there's interactive articles now that you can scroll through these things and they're like, it's like watching a movie. And it's the best journalism in the world. Tampa Bay Times just did one on Clearwater being pretty much bought up by all the Scientologists. And if you haven't seen that article in the Tampa Bay Times, they literally show the entire map of Clearwater and all the shell companies buying up all these properties. It's probably the coolest thing I've ever seen. They go street by street. That's the kind of thing that people are looking at now. That's what people want to see. And when you deny the residents that access, it's not good. Thank you for your time, folks.
You bet. Thank you.
Hello there. I'm Dale Prey. I'm on 120 North Satin Avenue in Inverness. I'm a Vietnam War era veteran. I see you scholars have made Citrus County famous worldwide. Do you have any idea of how idiotic you make this county and state look when you spout that fake news Trump nonsense? Especially while doing county business on TV? Like Trump, you disregard the subject matter experts, such as Library Director Mr. Head. I'm sure you made the Putin-loving Trump family very proud of your juvenile remarks. You gentlemen owe the voters of Citrus County a heartfelt apology. Please don't bring shame to Citrus County again. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Folks, please.
Just amazing. Yeah. Just amazing.
Yes, ma'am.
Catherine Edwards. My daughter lives on South Adams Street in Beverly Hills. And I'm speaking on her behalf, unbeknownst to her. I'm an old person. Both my daughters are nurses, and one of them tells me that there are three types of old people. You got young old people, you got middle-aged, middle old people, and you got old people. I'm lucky. I'm a young old person. I reckon the time may come when I might need to be in an assisted living facility. Both my daughters are nurses, and they both work in assisted living facilities here in Citrus County. Citrus County has quite a few. There may be a day when I'm living in one of those facilities here in this county. I've lived in this county before. But the problem is the county has a gaping hole in their Chapter 14 ordinances on animal control. Assisted living facilities are counted as private land. So if there's a problem with an animal in an assisted living facility, the sheriff's hands, animal control unit, their hands are tied. They can't tell people what to do with an out-of-control animal on private property, which also assisted living facilities are. Well, all assisted living facilities have staff that are required to look in on the patients. Well, my daughter was looking in on one patient, and she got attacked by a dog owned by one of the residents in the facility. A dog attack can cause nerve damage, it can rupture tendons, it can tear ligaments, it can destroy muscle tissue, and I'm not going to finish this in time. I thought we had 3 minutes. Oh, that's 20 minutes. I can finish it. It can tear ligaments, and the sheriff's animal control unit can't do anything about it. Now, they've classified this animal that happened to my daughter as a dangerous animal, and it's under quarantine in the assisted living facility. I ask that you look at your animal control ordinance.
You can wrap up your thoughts. Go
Thank you so much. This is National Hospice and Palliative Care Month, and I think it's incumbent upon you to look at how residents with dangerous animals in assisted living facilities are treated and how they are immune from the arms of law enforcement. The ordinance appears to be based on the assumption that private property is the person who owns the dog. And that creates a giant gaping hole in the ordinance. So please address that on some future agenda for the sake of staff at all assisted living facilities and for the sake of residents in those facilities. Thank you so much for your time and your forbearance.
Very good. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Deirdre Sweeney. I live at 1500 East Monopoly Loop in Inverness, and like most of us here, I'm here to talk about the New York Times. I thought maybe I would start with a little civics lesson, the Constitution. We're all familiar with the Constitution, I'd assume. So let's talk about the First Amendment. The First Amendment, the government is prohibited under the First Amendment from controlling political speech based on either its content or the identity of the publisher. The government cannot seek to limit the content or views of political speech in the marketplace of ideas. And this is exactly what you did when you invoked politics. So that's exactly what you did when you said you don't want the content, positions, and reporting from the New York Times available to the people of Citrus County for no reason other than the identity of the publisher. It is effectively censoring those viewpoints based on their content on the political viewpoints expressed. Political speech gets the highest level of protection under the First Amendment. The government does not get to pick and choose the content and positions that may be disseminated. That's why it's the First Amendment. So now in terms of fake news, the whole fake news, I know you invoke our president as he doesn't like fake news. He has, last I counted, about 13,000 verifiable falsehoods that he has said in his short time in presidency. So that, I would say, is the fake news. I also would say that fake news will be when you try to really make this a fiscal issue, and this is not a fiscal issue. So next board meeting, please do not try to make it a fiscal issue. The money has been, there's the budget, but it's not a fiscal issue. There's also the money from the Friends of the Library, which is discretionary. So this is clearly political, it's censorship, and it's not allowed under the First Amendment. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for your comments.
Janet Barrack speaking on behalf of Citrus Springs Civic Association. First of all, thank you for accepting the room darkening curtains and curtain rods from the Citrus Springs Civic Association and for having them put up prior to the Nature Coast Band concert at the Citrus Springs Community Center. It looked fantastic. It was the nicest thing you ever wanted to see. The curtains blocked out the sun, and you could see the band and hear everything. It was wonderful. And the Civic Association wants to thank you very much for allowing us to donate that to the county. And as time goes, we will try and donate other things that are useful to the Citrus Springs Community Center. Also, thank you for moving forward with the permitting process for the Citrus Springs Civic Association so that we can place decorations on North Citrus Springs Boulevard. Randy Oliver was extremely helpful in getting things going in the right direction again, and we want to thank you because people will now be able to enjoy them. Now for something that people in the audience may not like. Maybe the residents that are behind me need to take time out of their schedule and read the Citrus County Board of County Commissioners' schedule of meetings. Read the agendas, see what's on the agendas, and if there's an item that they want to make comments on, they should maybe show up at a meeting that it's going to be discussed at. Okay, I was here at the meeting when the library was discussed. Okay, they saw it on TV. It doesn't do them any good to see it on TV, and that's why I come to the meetings, because then I can make comment for or against. If you don't like what the Board of County Commissioners is doing, you need to show up at the meetings. The agenda is published at least a week in advance. It's on the website. It's not hard to find. The backup materials are along with it, so they could have seen the prices as for what was going to be put on the board. One of the reasons I think that the Times probably got turned away is because the news in there is not news. It is not doing the who, what, where, when, why, and how. It is going into opinion.
Folks, hey. Folks, please be respectful of all points of view. You were given time to speak. Give her time to speak. Her opinion, please. Thank you.
It is going into more of opinion. And I think that was one of the main reasons why the board probably said, you know, not at this point. Many people have computers. They know how to go online. They can access the New York Times at home. There's no reason why they can't. I can access it at home. It's very, very simple. And I would tend to think most people who came up here have their own computers and can access it. So I stand with your decision, and I know it's not a very popular decision at this point in time. But I'd like to thank you for your time, and I'll see you later.